Hey guys, today I'll show the short recap of a 2021 American action thriller movie titled Those Who Wish Me Dead. The movie begins with some firefighters trying to put down a fire, but one gets burnt by it. A lady among them watches the event happening and also sees some people trapped in the fire from afar, but she suddenly wakes up terrified, realizing it was a nightmare. The next scene shows two men introducing themselves to a woman at her doorstep. They asked permission to check into her home as their system alerted them to a gas leak from her boiler. One of them asks about her husband, and she tells them he is having a shower. She lets them in, and as soon as they come out of the building and leave in their car, it blows up. The following scene shows a man named Owen Casserly, a forensic accountant in Florida, preparing breakfast for his son Connor. He calls him and tells him to be fast so they won't be late for his school. While discussing with his son, Owen overhears the news of his district attorney boss and family death in their home due to a gas line explosion. He is disturbed hearing the news and tells his son they will be late. He arrives at his son's school but notices some strange people staring at him. He quickly drives away from the scene as a policeman alerts him to move away from the road. Connor isn't happy about this and tells him he has an 8 p.m. chemistry exam, but Owen ignores him and keeps driving. He then tells him to put down his phone and drags it from him. Connor asks if he's in trouble and what he has done, and he responds by saying he did the right thing. Hannah Faber, a smoke jumper, discusses with some fellow smoke jumpers during an event. A man named Ethan Sawyer, a deputy sheriff in Park County, walks up to her and asks why they posted her in a fire tower. Hannah says she was lucky and tells him it's close to his placement. Hannah is about to try out a parachute, and one of her fellow smoke jumpers alerts the rest to come to watch her. However, as she flies the parachute, she doesn't land well, and her fellow mates quickly arrive to check she's doing fine. Ethan arrives at the scene and gets her arrested. He arrives at the station but releases her and talks to her before she leaves. In the next scene, the two men who killed Owen's boss arrive at his house and realize he isn't home after checking out his laptop. One of the men, named Jack, hacks into Owen's account and realizes he had just withdrawn $10,000 from his account and tells the other man they need to know any friend or family he could be running to meet. One of the men in a safety jacket named Patrick sees a picture frame of Owen with someone in law enforcement, and they decide to trail him down there. While driving, Owen informs his son about him knowing of some information and being the next target of the people who killed his boss. Connor asks if they could go to the police, but he tells him no, as his boss has police protection 24 hours a day, and they couldn't prevent his death. He then tells him they can only trust people they know. In the next scene, Ethan arrives home to meet with his pregnant wife, Allison. At night, Owen calls Allison and asks to speak with Ethan as he has a problem to discuss. The following day, Connor wakes up to see Owen writing something down. He asks what it is, and Owen responds that it's all his secrets, and he doesn't want him to read it or even look at it but to give it to someone he trusts. Ethan sees a sheriff's friend in a canteen and tells him about his conversation with Owen. The sheriff suggests Owen comes to meet the FBI or Marshal Service than calling a TV station. While on the tower, Hannah checked out if she could see any smoke with her binoculars. She goes into the shed in the tower. As she sits down, she gets a flashback of an event where she couldn't save 3 young campers and a fellow smoke jumper from dying in a forest fire. She's terrified about it as she is now seen standing outside the shed before returning to respond to a call. Jack and Patrick arrive at a destination where they expect Owen to pass, and a car suddenly appears, but they get to know it isn't Owen. After a while, they see him arriving and suddenly begin to shoot at him, causing Owen's car to go off the road and fall down a cliff. Owen tells Connor to hide under a fallen tree and tells him that creeks lead to rivers and rivers lead to towns. He hands over the evidence the assassins want to get from him to Connor and tells him to call the news and TV station and give it to them. Connor then watches as the assassin kills his father. Jack sees a car coming towards them and kills her as soon as she reaches his side. They then flee from the scene. Ethan arrives at the scene and sees the dead woman in Owen's car wreck. Hannah is at a riverside, and she continues to get a flashback of the event hunting her, and as she cries, she sees Connor from afar. She goes after him and tries to stop him. She tells him she can help him, but he pushes her, and she gives up on following him. Connor calls her back and asks if she can call the news, which she agrees to. Jack goes to meet with his boss, who informs him that they need to haunt Connor and kill him as he might have duplicates of the information about them. Jack and Patrick plan to go to Ethan's home but first use flares to start a forest fire to divert the police's attention. Over at the tower, Hannah finds out the radio and phones were down due to the lightning that happened the previous day. She informs Connor about it and tells him they would need to hike down to town to call anyone he wishes. She asks him if he is in trouble, and he says yes. Connor explains everything that had occurred and gives her the evidence his father gave him. Hannah then reads it and tells him they must leave for town immediately. Jack and Patrick arrive at Ethan's home and meet with Allison, who suspects them of being assassins, but they are quick to get into her home and attack her. Patrick finds out she's pregnant and informs Jack about it. Jack tries to be soft on her and asks her if she knows where Connor whereabouts, but Allison tells him she doesn't know. They try to force her to reveal the truth and then tell her to call Ethan. While on the call with Ethan, she gives him a duress code, and as Jack realizes it, he engages in a fight with her. Allison, however, gets the best of them and escapes from their claws. Hannah and Connor are on the way to town when a lightning bolt suddenly begins. Hannah tells him what to do, but as they both try to avoid getting hit by the lightning, Hannah falls as one comes very close to her. Connor runs to check on her, and she tells him the lightning didn't hit her. Jack and Patrick try to find Allison, but they can't find her around. Ethan arrives with a sheriff who gets shot by Patrick with a sniper. Jack points a gun at Ethan from behind and orders him to drop his weapon. They get him handcuffed and ask him to lead them to where Connor could be hiding. Connor notices that Hannah looks sad, and he tells her. She then explains the fire incident that happened a year ago and how she couldn't help some boys around his age from dying in the fire. Connor also tells her about how he watched his mother die of cancer. While trying to get where Connor could be, Ethan sees a track of Connor's footprints and cleans it to prevent the assassins from seeing it. However, Patrick sees him and goes to check it out. They then get to realize that he survived the accident. Ethan causes a scene saying he can't continue with the search, but Jack and Patrick beat him to his plan and forces him to continue the search. Hannah and Connor see a fire outbreak, and Hannah tells him they can't go through it and need to return to the tower. Allison returns home from hiding and takes a tracker from her desk that would lead her to Ethan. She then goes out with her horse. Hannah changes her clothes at the tower and notices some men coming towards the tower with torchlights. She uses her binoculars and calls Connor to get down from the bed and asks if he saw the faces of the men who attacked his father. He responds by saying yes, and she gives him the binoculars to check them out. Connor confirms they're the one, and she tells him to get under the bed. Patrick orders Ethan to go check the tower out to see if Connor is in there, and as he gets up and enters the shed, he speaks gently, saying they should stay hidden, and sees Hannah. Patrick climbs up a tree to check him out. Patrick notices that Ethan is talking to someone, and they begin to shoot at him in the tower. Hannah is able to get Connor out of the tower, and they both run away as Jack and Patrick try firing at them. Allison arrives at the scene and shoots at Jack and his partner. Jack orders Patrick to go after Connor and fires at Allison to prevent her from shooting Patrick. However, Allison gets to kill Jack. Hannah tells Connor to go all by himself out of the forest so she can prevent the assassin from killing him. Allison gets to the tower and sees Ethan injured by a gunshot. They then both see the forest fire arriving towards the tower. Hannah hides behind a tree as she notices Patrick coming with a torchlight and gun. She attacks him from behind and later goes into hiding. Connor appears to confuse Patrick, and as he attempts to shoot him, Hannah uses the axe with her to hit him. Connor goes into hiding, and Patrick beats up Hannah and tells him he won't stop until he comes out. Connor finally comes out, and Patrick tells him to turn around. As he approaches Connor, Hannah appears from behind and hits him severely with the axe with her, leaving him to burn to death in the approaching fire and running away with Connor. The fire finally reaches the tower, and Ethan and Allison use an oxygen mask and hold on to each other. Hannah and Connor quickly race to a nearby river, and she directs him to do exactly what she tells him as they watch the fire engulf the forest beneath the river. The following day, Connor wakes up still in the river and leaves there with Hannah. Hannah's old smoke jumping team arrives to rescue her, Connor and Allison. However, Ethan had since died due to the gunshot wound on him. The movie ends with Connor asking Hannah what will happen next, and she responds by saying he will do the interview. However, he tells her he meant where he would go, and she promises they will figure it out together. So that is it for today, folks. Hope you had an awesome day, and do not forget to cheer people around you. If you like the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for daily content like this.